Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me is a Shaky-Sand or Force Update XP farm. And speaking of which, if you can come up with a better name for the vibrating sand tech than Shaky-Sand, do be sure to add that in the comments below. Let's talk a little bit about rates before I show you how to build this. Each half of this XP farm will generate 1800 XP per hour. You can build one half or the entire design. I'll show you both of those. This does take use of an overflow chest that you see on either side, and that's because the bamboo production is not quite enough to make this fifth furnace burn continuously. This is actually part of the design. It's what prevents you from having any overflow issues to make sure there's no item buildup in your world. And if you don't make use of this chest, then that does drop the rates slightly to about 1600 per hour. So what you're looking at overall per day is somewhere between 76,800 or 86,400. And that is a per day rates for this farm. To put that in context, that's enough to go from level 0 to 30 between 55 and 62 times, depending on if you use that chest, or enough to go from 27 to 30, somewhere between 250 and 282 times per day. It also does make use of these bone meal farms on the end through use of the composter, because there is a surplus on the cactus as well, although the cactus has its own built-in overflow protection. So you don't have to worry if your your bone meal chests fill up and this starts to back up. You're still not going to end up with any overflow items in your world, and the rates on that, depending on whether or not you've had this fifth furnace going full time, that decreases the rates slightly. You're looking at between 48 or 58 per hour per side, which on a per day basis combined gets you somewhere between 2300 or 2800 bone meal per day, which is 36 to 43 and a half stacks, again depending on if you make use of these overflows. So let me show you the materials you need to get it, but let me also just put this into some context about how overpowered these vibrating sand farms are. In order to make this production on these older zero-tick devices, you need 5 of these to match the output of these 2 boats and these 4 pieces of sand. So what you're looking at right here is the equivalent of 5 of those machines. Now let's take a look at the materials you need, and this is just for the basic build. If you're only going to build half, these are to make the vibrating sand and the first part of your furnace array. I also do include right here what you need for your composter setup to get your bone meal. And then these are just some structure and guiding blocks that will be taken away at the end, but you do need them in order to construct this. And there are some alternatives you'll see as we go along. If you're going to build the second side, these are the additional materials that you're going to need. And do note that I also now have added an auto dropper. If you're going to use both, then a chest to hold the green dye would fill up pretty fast. And then just so you can see what these all look like together in one chest, these are all the materials you need to build the entire machine, as well as the auto dropper right here to get rid of your green dye. So I have a copy of these over here, and you can see they're just the same things we just saw. And let's get started. So you're going to want to start by going up 5 blocks, and the reason that we're getting off the ground is to help make sure that no passive mobs or hostile mobs end up in our boats, which could knock this out of alignment and cause some problems. So we're going to put a boat down and aim right for the center, and then we're going to build up some blocks right next to it. So we're going to have to drop a second boat over the middle, and again we want to aim right for the center of this block, and then we can destroy this and destroy this, And then to make sure that our alignment is proper, we're going to build over, going to the front and the back, and we're going to drop sand on the corners, and we want to make sure that the sand does catch and does vibrate as it's doing. So we did our alignment properly. Now we're going to need to caddy corner. Each corner diagonally from each other are going to be different crops. It doesn't matter which is which. In order to stabilize the sand for the bamboo, what we're going to do is we're actually going to come down here and we're going to add a bunch of these pistons until they don't go up anymore. We want to try and line that up, and if not, we can move over in order to get underneath properly. And I was right the first time, and then I was not right. Let's come back under here, and then we can't place one on top, so we actually want to come up underneath that with one facing in the right direction. And we're going to get out our redstone blocks, and we're going to place that there. We can get rid of that. And then when we power this, you can see the sand has stopped vibrating and that has stabilized. So we can do the same thing over here. And we can destroy these. And we're going to leave this here so that we can grow the bamboo. And we need to do that because if the sand is vibrating, you're not able to plant the bamboo. So as you can see, it will instantly pop off if the sand is vibrating. When it's not vibrating, you can plant them. And if you're in survival, you can now hit this with the bone wheel. In creative mode, I can just click like that. And then we can remove these, or we can leave them now for now so they don't cause too much of a headache. We're going to want to take on this side the cactus. In order to do that, we need to first add our hopper minecarts. So we're going to come along the front and throw down a couple of chests like this. And we're going to do the same thing on this side as well. And then, just to make it a little bit easier for us, we're actually going to destroy some of this so that we can push the hopper minecarts in more easily. We're going to make a little bit of a path right here. And we're going to destroy this shaking sand. And we're going to guide our hopper minecarts in properly. And let's get one of those. And we can now place this down and push it in. Perfect. We can destroy all these other blocks that were helping it. Destroy this as well. We're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. And again, we're caddy cornering, so we want the diagonal corners to be where the opposite crops are. So let's get some of these blocks in place to help us push that in. And we're going to put the rails down again, and we're going to put the other hopper minecart in and push it in. Perfect. So we can now destroy all of these blocks, and we can also destroy over here. We want to make sure that we do add the sand on both sides, and now we can plant our cactus there, and it's over enough that it will connect to the hopper chain. So we can destroy this. We'll leave the chests there for now in order to just make this a little bit easier for us later on. We can destroy this here now as well, and we can set up our furnace system before we set up our collection system, just to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to have our first hopper come from under this chest. Now we are going to need to go out 6. So let's get our stone and count that out. And then we can point all of this over. And then we also do need to break this in order to point it into this hopper chain as well. Now, depending on how you want the furnaces facing, you can face them opposite like this, or however you'd like. You can see on this side, I faced them on the cactus side, but again, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to come underneath, and we're going to place our furnaces, but make sure you place them with one block here. and we're going to place five of them as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we can actually come in one closer as I added one extra hopper in that line. And then we put hoppers pointing directly down into these. And I actually did count correctly the first time because we can just add our composter setup now as well. So we can put it right next to this. We're going to point this hopper directly down into the composter, and we're going to take out from that composter, and we can add our double chest here as well. And this is to store the bone meal. We can come around back, and we can add hoppers going into the furnaces. And then we're also going to have a chain there as well. So we have one going down in here, and then we have them coming out from the center. Do be careful not to nudge the boat, because you may have to start over with this placement and this sand setup if you knock this out of alignment, which would be pretty irritating. Now we can also come over here, because we know the bamboo is going to end up in this. We're going to put our overflow chest on top of this one, and we're going to put our hopper on top of that, because this is the bamboo and this is the side that it's going to be coming off on. We can also, just for some guidance and for some reference, we can put our piston down, which is going to be our harvesting piston, facing over in this direction where it's going to be. And then we're also going to have some blocks that are going to guide that in order to make sure that it properly gets pushed over into the hopper. And we can also come across like this, just to, again, make sure that it does end up where it's supposed to be. And then we can remove these and it will fall properly in. And we can add this one just for an extra measure. Now we also do want to take note of how we're going to power this. And we're going to power this block with 2 observers. So in order to do that, we can get the first one in place so that we don't have to worry about jostling too many blocks forward. And we're going to point an observer directly up into this block that I just placed. Again, do be careful not to knock any of the boats out of alignment, or you may have to start over. And we can remove that, and we'll put an observer back in there when we're ready to power the whole farm. Now we can start making some of these copies on the other side as well. So we're going to come on this side, and we're going to take our hoppers starting directly under here, and just like we came out in this direction, we're going to come out in this direction, and we're going to come out again the same number. So we start out under here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we are going to have one hopper that's facing down, and this is going to be the composter hopper like this. So we can destroy these, and we can now remove this as well. And we're going to make a chain going like so. Again, being careful around the boats. And this is going to be the composter. And we're going to take our furnaces. Where did I put those? Right here. And we're going to come down one away from that chain. So right here. And make sure that we put down our 5 furnaces. And then we put hoppers going directly into the tops of those. Put back the composter that I accidentally destroyed. And we have another hopper. And of course, we need our double chest to collect the bone meal. Now we can come around back on this side and do what we did before. Looks like our stabilizing block is going to get in the way on this side. If we wanted to, we can just move it over here. Or you can plant the crops now instead. We're going to put the hoppers pointing directly into the back of those, and then hoppers coming in a chain out from the center again. And as I keep saying, be careful as you get in close not to knock those. And then we know that the output is going to be from right here. So we have a hopper pointing into this one. We're going to put down the overflow chest, and then we're going to put down that hopper just like that. And again, just for reference, we know that the piston is going to be pushing like so. And as I do that, I do realize that I put the observer in the wrong place. So I'm just going to use a piston to push it over into the correct spot. Now, you don't want to push the second piston into the first piston, and I'll explain that when we get there in terms of your harvesting speed. And we also need to make sure that we do have a block here so that the observer can transfer the power properly. And then we can also now do the same thing in terms of making sure the crop is properly guided into the hopper by placing some of these full blocks around to guide it in, like so. And we can also now start working on what our disposal system is going to be. Let's get rid of some of these blocks that we don't need anymore. And we can actually have these chests come down one from each, and then turn that into a double chest. We're going to come across and do the same thing. So we're going to take this and turn that into a double chest. We're going to get our hoppers out to make a hopper chain underneath those furnaces. And of course, we're going to do that on this side as well, so that any of the green dye will be taken and disposed of. And then we can actually put in our dropper as well. And let's get some of the glass ready as well. The lava bucket and the comparator and our sticky piston. We're going to go one below these two chests in the center with our dropper. So we're going to go down one more like this, so that we can put two hoppers facing in from these two chests. Now that's going to spit directly into this block. We're going to go down an extra just so you can see it, and then put some glass around that to make sure the items get destroyed in the lava. You can pick either side you want, but one of these two sides needs to have a comparator. So let me destroy that to make this a little easier. And let me grab it back, place it back. This is going to be pointing towards a sticky piston facing up, with an observer facing towards the comparator. And then on this side, we have an observer that's one out, and destroy that one, so that when anything is in this, it will be detected. This piston will push up, and that'll create a observer clock in order to empty this out into the lava. And we're getting pretty close here, so it's time to start preparing for the cactus. You can use glass if you like to see all these crops as they're being harvested, or we can continue using our just normal stone. We're going to come up one, and we're going to make an outline. And remember to destroy this block so it has room to grow, so the cactus will grow up and then fall directly into the hopper minecart. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Again, remember to destroy this and then move that there. Now we can also remove these chests on this side as well as on this side. And we can plant our bamboo, or we can go with our cactus first, because why not? So you plant the cactus on the sand, and make sure there are no blocks right next to it or it won't let you plant. And then come around to the other side, remove that block as well, and the cactus will start to grow pretty fast. As you can see, it's already starting to grow. And then we can plant our bamboo. We can sneak in on this side, or we can just make some space, plant it, and then make sure to grow it. In survival again, you would just use some of your bone meal, and then we can remove this and remove this as well. And the sand has started vibrating again, which is perfect. We can close that back up, and then we're going to come around to the other side and do the same thing. Let's just give ourselves a little hole right there and then grow that. We're going to then close this back up. After you grow it, that's when you can depower this and then destroy that piston. And then in order to kick that in, we're going to place an observer facing directly into that observer. And you can see that it started to harvest, and you can see that the first furnaces have turned on. Now it is important that you place the observer facing the observer. If you pushed the observer into that, so you completed this circuit by pushing an observer with a piston, this would be a lot faster, and this would not be harvesting properly. It would be throwing the bamboo all over the place. So it is important that you put it down. If you need to turn this off for any reason, you do just have to destroy this and then replant it or place it yourself. And you will see that the first furnace on both sides have turned on. Now this farm will slowly fill up on its own, or once the farm has some crops in it, you can use some blocker items to block the first 4 slots. Do not do that on this side for the 5th one, because that is the one where if you're not going to use the overflow chest, you can just let it burn out. You're not going to have any issues. And then you can see very rarely, because there's only one furnace going right now, you'll see that the dye gets spit there. Now you can also grab some levers. This is optional. Some people like to leave this as a clean look and then come and place the lever on it when it's time to collect the experience. You lock this lever, that locks the hopper underneath, and that way you can grab the dye and get that XP that's been storing since the last time it was manually removed. And some people like to have the levers on all of them, and some people just like to walk around and place the lever on whichever one they're going to use. And this is complete. This is 100% fully automatic XP with some bonus fully automatic bone meal. As long as this is in the loaded chunks, it will continue to generate that XP regardless of whether or not you are in the random tick range. So you can walk away, and as long as you keep this loaded, it will keep generating that XP for you. If you've found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like, and for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.